Hello, and welcome to the Libri Labra Book Club. I am joined today by my husband, John, aka BookTube Hubby, and Book Club VIP member, Tom. And today we are going to be discussing The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nghi Vo. Before we get into the discussion, I just want to let you know that, if you subscribe to the channel and you want to be more involved in regards to the content that I make and you want to join us live on camera for the chats, you can do that by becoming a Book Club VIP member. There are a couple of different tiers, and some of the perks that you get is like priority response in YouTube comments. You get to see some behind the scenes stuff when it's happening. You get a custom bookmark. But, even if you're not ready to subscribe, I would love to have you over on Patreon so you can leave comments and we can continue talking or whatever. So you can do that at patreon.com/Libri Labra. Okay, so we usually do initial thoughts in regards to the book that we're discussing. And after we're done with our initial thoughts, which tend to be not spoilery, we will jump into spoiler territory. So this was actually a book that I submitted to be voted on. And the reason I chose it is because it is a Great Gatsby retelling. And I feel like I have this weird history with The Great Gatsby. I actually failed high school English because I didn't read it when I was supposed to. And that always weighed heavily on me because I remember people telling me that it was such a good book. And then I have a friend who was like, oh, that's my favorite book of all time. Anyway. And so, as I got older and I've been trying to force myself to read classics, whether they're difficult or not, I'm like, I really got to read The Great Gatsby. And it just went into public domain. And I looked it up and I was going to buy the cover that I remembered with the eyes. And it was like kind of teal bluish looking. But they had this super fancy vintage looking, I should have grabbed that too. Damn it. But they had this very, very pretty Great Gatsby book, and I pre-ordered it, and it came in January, and I was like, I got to read this. So I also watched the movie. I did read The Great Gatsby, and then when I found out that there was a retelling coming, I was like, I have to. So initial thoughts in regards to the book. I really enjoyed Nghi Vo's writing. I also listened to the audiobook, and I thought that the actress who played Jordan did like an incredible job with her reading. Like, I really felt that character. I thought she fit it so well. And like in the movie, you kind of don't see that much of Jordan, but I feel like she filled out all those missing pieces like really, really well, both the writing and the actress. I think there were times where I felt like the magic was both too much and not enough. And I'll explain more about that later. I get that, though. Yeah. But overall, I enjoyed it. And, I'll pass it on to you.
Initial thoughts going in, I was... I've always felt the same way about the classics. They're hard to digest for me anyway. Like, I was never taught classically. So I don't know, getting through that writing is difficult for me, and this was also very difficult. So I'm going to do it again, but I also have just learned recently that I've spoiled myself as to listening to audiobooks in my ear pods directly into my brain versus having it being on speakerphone for your phone where I'm doing other things. It's distracting.
Oh,
so now I'm just going to have to listen to it myself. What?
I'm not gonna say it. Keep going.
Well, I mean, I used to actually have that, the mental capacity to do that, but things have changed recently that I think have taken that away. So I can't multitask anymore.
Wow.
Some books, granted, you can. Some books you can't.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment.
Yeah. This was not one I could. I had to pay attention and keep up, but there was actually some parts that I was like, "What just happened exactly?" But it's also because going into thinking it's a Great Gatsby retelling, nobody told me beforehand that there was fantastical and mystical elements to it, and I'm like,
did you not read the synopsis when you?
Why would I do that?
You voted for a different book anyway. So
correct. So all right.
Your opinion doesn't count.
I'm going to consume this again, but after this, like I'm just gonna consume from you guys today because I think this is. I do understand that this is supposed to be a very elegant retelling of The Great Gatsby, and I want it to actually have that certain cadence. I want it to talk to me that way. I don't want to be in broken pieces like I have now, you know. So I'm going to reread it. But initial thoughts going in, I was scared because The Great Gatsby scares me. All right, I've watched parts of the movie at this point, and I know the initial story. I just don't know the details.
I don't know if you remember, but we actually tried to read another Nghi Vo book.
I don't.
And we listened to it for about 2 hours. And by the time we were like ready to stop for the night, we both turned to each other and we were like, what just happened? Like, what did we just listen to? Because neither of us like fully processed it.
That experience
so
either,
it's like, you know, it's definitely a little bit with the writing and the concentration required to really process her writing.
We'll move on to Tom's initial thoughts.
Yeah.
Oh, well, very quickly, since we're all admitting The Great Gatsby, yes, I read that in high school. And I was late to the party knowing that this was The Great Gatsby retelling because I sent you a message on Facebook saying, does this have to do with The Great Gatsby? But you said yes. It's like, shit. It's another novel of rich people being shitty to each other. I didn't like it the first time. But for one quote in The Great Gatsby, the rest is like, yeah, that's okay. And for this one, it sounds like fan fiction. That's what, like, I could imagine the pitch meeting to the publisher. Hey, yeah, well, I don't want to say why until we get to the story. But
I can't laugh.
So I had a bias against it, but it's so well written and so cunningly done. I thought, okay, well done. So
I keep seeing that. Everybody's like, dear God, this was amazing. And I'm like, well, I have to go through it again.
Like, I just felt like, you know, even though she kind of changes, though, the character of Jordan was just so consistent all the way through in regards to how she felt and how she moved throughout the world. And like, I just felt like she was just like a really well flushed out character with the writing. So those were our initial thoughts. If you haven't read The Chosen and the Beautiful yet, if you haven't read The Great Gatsby yet, definitely check those out and feel free to come back and watch this video whenever that happens. So,
spoilers now?
Yes, spoilers.
Yeah, right into spoiler territory.
Tom's like, I gotta get this out.
To me, it sounded like the pitch meeting sounded like, okay, it's going to be based on The Great Gatsby. It's going to be gay, and it's going to have magic. And it's like,
so
I don't even know what to do with that. So, I know that's bad, but in lesser hands, I think this could have been an awful book, but it's not. It's really good.
Well, to be completely honest, when I was reading The Great Gatsby, I also loved how that was written, and I really liked Nick's character, but he was so obsessed with Gatsby that I was questioning his own sexuality while reading the book. It was just like, you know, Nick definitely has this connection and this admiration, and so, you know, the gay part I didn't feel like was very, very far off in any way to me because I was having those thoughts reading The Great Gatsby. So,
okay.
But with the magic, like sometimes, you know, I think the first introduction kind of the magical world is the demoniac that they were drinking. And that just felt like, why? Like in the beginning, it's just like, okay, they're having this drink. It just felt so light. Like I felt like I wasn't getting enough of what the magic in the world really was. And then later it got a bit more intense and fantastical. And so then I was like, okay, now this is a lot to imagine, I guess, in the 20s and Great Gatsby times. And so I went back and forth between that.
I like it when it's properly explained. And I don't think it was.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't really fully explained. It was just like
given.
It was like,
hey,
this is a given.
This is part of the world. I'm not going to tell you how or why it's there, but it's just there. So I mean, but my complaint was that the magic actually and the fantastical parts were actually like built into areas where I felt like they weren't necessary. Like it could have been explained better or been a better spot, and like even in the next or previous scenes, You know what I'm saying? Like, in order to convey what the points they were trying to get through with that specific thing. But I'm actually focusing on 3 different parts that I have. You know, I only have contexts for those parts. I don't have the whole thing right now, so I don't want to go too deep into it if I'm missing things.
Was there anything you wanted to add about the magic?
Well, she plays the long game on the magic because she does make it pay off in the end. But and the one I'm talking about is when she starts at the beginning, how she tells Jordan, what's the main character's name again?
Jordan Baker.
Okay, and she tells, God, I can't think of the other one's name. Faye. Daisy. Yeah, and she's talking like she's making this up, but it's actually real. When she cuts out the animal, I think it was a lion, and it comes to life.
Yeah, the paper cutting was definitely interesting, but it was like such a leap from like, okay, we're drinking demoniac to now like we're creating something out of nothing kind of a thing. Like that was just a pretty big leap for me, I felt like.
Well, I mean, it would have been nice for me to know going in that they are magicians. Like, I mean, I was going in thinking, you know, it's a specific, you know, world, but I didn't know they actually had that title. So I'm sorry.
One of the things that from The Great Gatsby that you're always left wondering is how did he get to his fortune? And this book answers that. Well, he made a deal with the devil, obviously. So
I did like that aspect of it, though. Yeah.
Did you?
I mean,
are you sure?
we have to actually go back for the Gatsby too. So I like, this is like, I'm only have bits and pieces. Like, so I can't. I don't have much to compare with.
I don't know if I necessarily like that part. You know, I probably have like different opinions of the Great Gatsby.
Well, how did he do it in the actual Gatsby then? How did he come back?
I think he was like
a few years later rich.
Because he was doing some mobster stuff. No, he wasn't. He was like,
he came back from the military.
Yeah, but there was just a lot of storytelling that he did to make himself look grander. But then he was like, he was doing some shady stuff because like he was constantly answering the phone and, you know, having to make appointments with people and like I don't know if it was in this book or in The Great Gatsby, but they were like calling it pharmaceuticals, but like
right. He was drug dealing. Okay, all right. So there you go.
They do that in this book too. They call them a pharmaceutical.
So like, you know, so he like.
I mean, back then. I mean, maybe the pharmaceutical kingpins back then. It was a thing. Hey, they didn't realize that you know, it was that easy.
Maybe I just missed. Maybe it was Leonardo DiCaprio as the Great Gatsby that led me astray. But I liked his character, and I felt for his character. And I don't know. I was kind of upset that they made him a vampire that made a deal with the devil in this book. Like I don't know. It made me uncomfortable. I was just like, really? I don't know. I feel like Gatsby chases something throughout the story for his love for Daisy.
The deal with the devil part probably wasn't absolutely necessary.
I mean,
but
that's
it
how
adds
she
to the
played
character too. I guess you didn't like that part being added to his character. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, it's a new story. It has its twists and its turns. It is what it is. But like,
well, I mean, in order to amass some sort of fortune so fast, it's got to be cursed somehow, right?
I do think what's very clear in this book is that while it's a retelling, this story is about Jordan Baker. This story isn't about Gatsby.
Right.
Who I believe is a made-up character for this novel. She does not appear in The Great Gatsby.
She does, actually.
Wait,
she does?
Yeah, she does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either, so I need to watch the shit.
She's 100% in the movie. I'm almost positive she's also in the book.
Okay.
And basically when Nick shows up to Daisy's house for the first time for dinner, Jordan is there and he has like a little thing with her, but she's not a super present character, but she definitely goes with him to the party. She talks to Gatsby and she's the one that tells him Gatsby wants you to set up
Vo basically
a date.
found a side character that she can use
flushed
for
out,
herself.
yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
So, and that's why I said, like, you get little bits and pieces of Jordan Baker in The Great Gatsby, but like the way she filled out the rest of that character was excellent. Like, I think it was done really, really well with her voice and the way she acts, because it was pretty much the way she was acting in the movie. Like she was into her own things, and I know she got into some kind of trouble and lied about messing up somebody's car and some other stuff. So
she was a wild one.
But like sort of quiet. Like, I don't know. People were just kind of like mesmerized by her a little bit. But Nick liked her, and they had a little bit of connection. Although it's more intense here in this book.
Well, she's a more prominent character, obviously, so they have to give her something to do.
But
hey, take him where you can get him.
I think I'm also kind of disappointed with what we find out about Nick at the end, because Nick was also a character that I really, really appreciated. I felt like he was like honest and moral, and he was just like, I don't know, he was I don't know, he was a narrator, but he was like a good guy in the story, and he just really, really felt for Gatsby and what Gatsby was going through, and you know, he was very reflective and introspective, and I think they made him, or Nghi Vo made him a little bit more, maybe like a little bit more confident in this book.
You can't compare him to, is it Tobey Maguire?
I think so.
You can't. If you're looking at that face, you can't expect I mean, I'm sorry. The same confidence isn't going to come out.
But I think his character, though, is a little bit more reserved, whereas in this book, he was doing all sorts of wild stuff.
I think everybody was doing all sorts of wild stuff. And that's the idea here. It was supposed to be like a Hotel California type deal, I guess. Like, once you go to Gatsby's, you never want to go home.
But I know at one point she's reflecting about something someone said to her. I think her aunt said to her, and I don't know what the exact quote is or what page it was on. But she's like, you don't ask this if you could be asking this. And then she says to herself, I shouldn't have asked him about his girlfriend, or, you know, how many women he was with, when I should have asked him how many people he was with. So she like is reflecting on all of that.
Interesting.
Because she hadn't realized
that he's bi.
That he's bi, and he was doing all this stuff that she had kind of asked about, but obviously didn't get the answer, an accurate answer.
I've seen some comparisons with him and Swan then.
Swan?
It's the other character. What's the name of that from the Nevers?
I can't picture that person right now. I remember the Nevers, but I can't picture the person.
The guy that was always talking to the detective.
I'd have to go back and look at it. I don't know.
Okay.
So then, do I have this right, that Nick was actually paper mache?
Yes.
At the end?
Yes.
The only person in the book that, you know, we could actually relate to.
Was the golem? Yeah.
What does that mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
If only there was a book that we had read that talks about replacing somebody with an artificial version of themselves.
Oh dear.
So anyway.
I mean, but she was fooled. Everybody was fooled. We were all fooled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why she put it in, I'm sure, is to get that payoff. But yeah, I thought that was well done.
I don't think I understood what it was Jordan did for him, because she pulled out his heart and replaced it with something else.
Paper.
Well, yeah, but she changed what was in there. She changed the contents.
Yeah, she did. I don't remember what she changed it to, though.
And yeah, well, she used like new paper and didn't write her name on it, but she left like impressions of her lips on it so that it would still be there without necessarily being there, which I wasn't sure.
Right.
There was definitely a lot of symbolism behind that.
Yeah. So maybe what she did was take away his hurt from Gatsby, from the loss of Gatsby, because he was still obsessed with Gatsby. And then he even says to her, like, you know, he'll always be there. He'll always be the biggest thing.
Well, I was actually seeing that as allowing herself to no longer be a part of his heart, like kind of separating herself from him, not writing her name on his heart.
Yeah,
like
she gives him the memory, not her. You know, it's like now it's in the past, sort of a thing.
It could be that could be perceived 100 different ways.
I'd have to reread that part because I feel like he does mention a lot about how he feels about Gatsby. Like, because she was like, "Did you even love me?" And he was like, "Well, I love Gatsby, but yeah, I loved you too."
And she was like, "Well, then get Gatsby's. You are Gatsby's then." That's what she was basically.
No, but Gatsby was dead, so he would just live with an ache.
Is this the other way around then?
Yeah, because she cared about Nick. Whether she removed herself from the equation or not, I feel like she would.
But was the story? Was it really about how torn Nick was between the two? Pun intended.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think, like, if you put Jordan and Gatsby in front of him, Nick would have very clearly picked Gatsby.
Right. So she was kind of alleviating that. I don't know.
I'll have to reread that part.
Same.
I'm trying to. Oh, I hated Daisy. I hated Daisy in this story. I mean, I don't think I liked her in The Great Gatsby either, but like I really disliked her in this one. I don't know if it was the way the actress played Daisy because she made her sound so.
That was another thing I was
airheaded.
worried about with the narrating. I was wondering if, because there's a certain cadence and a poetry to the book itself, that if I'm listening to it at a sped up pace, if I'm doing it wrong, or if the narrator is or is not doing it wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't trust whether or not they're reading it to me the way it's meant to be read to me, you know?
I refuse to believe that narrators speak that slowly without the intention of someone speeding them up. Like, I feel like at this point, because speeding it up is totally a thing that is made available to everyone. And I feel like at one speed, they are speaking very slowly, very clearly, but I don't think it's a natural pace.
No, it's not.
I mean, I understand that like a 2-speed, I wasn't listening to it that fast, but I understand that at 2-speed, it sounds like chipmunks. But like, I just want it to sound conversational, like for there to be a flow and not like these long pauses, because my brain can definitely perceive it faster. So.
Well, I'm going to actually try and listen to it. Probably 1.2, not 1.5.
I didn't have it on 1.5. Because I couldn't listen to that on 1.4 because it had so much in there.
Okay.
You look like you don't trust me.
No, I'm just I don't.
Whatever, you re-listen to it. It's fine.
Irrelevant.
Was it clear? Again, I know this story was about Jordan, right? So there were certain things that were left out. I don't think it was super clear. To me, anyway, what was going on with Tom and Mrs. Wilson.
Are you saying there was a thing that we missed?
Because in The Great Gatsby, like, it's pretty clear. They make it really clear that Tom was cheating on Daisy with Mrs. Wilson.
Oh.
And the thing with the cars and them going to the city, that was super clear too. Like you almost see it coming because they end up Tom drives Gatsby's car at some point and he takes it to Wilson's shop. I don't know exactly what the purpose of that was. I don't know if he was just trying to show off the car or whatever. So Tom is seen in Gatsby's car.
Right.
And then later on, they swap the cars again. I don't know. There was just something with the cars where like people were trying to figure out who it was that hit Mrs. Wilson.
Wasn't it Daisy?
Yes, it was Daisy. But I don't think this book painted a clear picture of the fact that Tom had been cheating on Daisy with Mrs. Wilson, and then Daisy killed her.
And then like Tom thought it was...
I mean, he thought it was Gatsby because Gatsby took the credit for it. Gatsby said he was driving to protect Daisy.
Wow.
But, you know, it was Tom being so upset that his lover was just killed, which is why he went back and told Mr. Wilson that it was Gatsby.
Right.
And then, you know, and then that happened. But it didn't seem like he was painted. I really didn't get him being an adulterer in this book.
Tom?
Yeah. Like, not strongly. Like, maybe, like, very, very subtly.
No, she makes it clear that he plays around.
I got the impression that there was something that Daisy really hated about him, but I didn't ever really get to that, like, get the actual what it was.
Because they try to like paint that picture by talking about how he sneaks away to answer phone calls during dinner and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's obviously being secretive. But you know, like in the story, you kind of get scenes of, in The Great Gatsby, you get scenes of him with Mrs. Wilson or thinking about her or, you know, communicating with her, or, and definitely in the movie, you see it. So it's just a stronger picture. And Nick actually goes with him at one point. They go to the city together. And so he sees Tom with Mrs. Wilson. And like, I guess Tom tried to hook him up with some other girl. So, you know, it was kind of like, oh, we're both doing something bad at this point. If he rats me out, he's going to have to rat himself out kind of thing.
That bastard.
So, I don't know. But Daisy I didn't like her at all. I didn't like the way she treated Jordan. I didn't like the way she was just...
I mean, Tom said it best at the beginning. I mean, it's just more rich people treating each other badly.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all The Great Gatsby is for the most part.
For love, money, and hatred, you know, just to stab someone in the back.
Well, I feel like that was like the most devastating part of The Great Gatsby, is that like after everything that he goes through to get Daisy, to reunite with Daisy, he ends up dying. Like nobody comes to his funeral. Nobody gives a shit. She just leaves. She just moves and she just leaves, and that's it. She stays with Tom, and
plus he's defending Daisy, although nobody knows that, because Daisy was the one who caused the accident.
Yeah.
So.
That poor bastard.
Oh, the other thing that like we have in this book is ghosts.
Oh yeah, there were ghosts. There were, what was the other thing?
I'm trying to remember.
And potions.
Elixirs. I don't. Was that? I
I guess
remember the use of that, unless that was just like a fancy
was probably
word for drink.
the demoniac crap. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. It's just the idea that something is happening from something that you're drinking, and I guess that's what alcohol is. It's true.
But I feel like I, for some time, was trying to figure out, okay, is this actually demon's blood we're having
I was trying to figure out if it was...
Or is this just what we're calling it?
I was wondering if it had anything to do with anything, if they needed it for their magic, or if it was just a matter of you just get a little drunker because it's demon's blood. I don't know. I was trying to figure out any info about this product that is in this book.
I can't remember what it was she said, but she was like, if you have a little bit of it, it does this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think they used it medicinally, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So, But then if you drink a lot, I guess it messes you up.
Oh, it's like Robitussin. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Who else is in this story? What's his name? Was his name Kai?
Yeah. Yeah. Who the hell is Kai? But yeah, I remember that now.
Cobra Kai. Yeah.
Hey, come on. But yeah, the whole idea of her being obsessed with what he did and what part of his, I guess, yeah, she's adopted, so she saw something part of.
But she's not.
So, okay.
She's abducted. That's the thing. Because remember, she has that dream that, oh, yeah, she remembers Eliza offering money to the mother and mother not taking it. The implication being that Eliza stole her from Vietnam and brought her back to the U.S.
I don't.
Jesus effing.
I must have missed that memory.
Yeah.
Oh my. More privileged white person things.
Yep. Again, rich people being shitty. This is kind of a theme.
Oh my god.
Yeah, there's one. It may be under the influence of the demoniac, because the demoniac, going back to that, seems more like a hallucinogenic than like you would expect alcohol to be. So there's something else with it, I would think.
Absinthe.
Yeah, they do have They do have actual absinthe though. So, but yeah, there's one point because it sounds Jordan's having a dream, and that's one of the scenes that plays out is Eliza offering the mother money, and she's like, no, and then, oh, guess what? You're in America now. Surprise! But one thing she did do well with Jordan is how she can never fit into either world, in the sense that, and they make it a point, you've got money, but you'll never get to the highest circles that you would have because of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And with Kai's world, it's like, well, you're not, Vietnamese enough to be with us, so sort of a thing. To put it, that's an awful way of putting it, but I can't think of a better way to do it. Like someone who looks like her should have the traditions that they all had, but she doesn't. She obviously didn't have the same upbringing. So
or Mowgli.
So,
but
doesn't fit in the forest, doesn't fit in the urban.
One thing I did like about that is, yes, she's young and beautiful and whatnot, but she makes the point that, why should I get myself attached to a man? Because if I do that, I'm going to be the one that's always under scrutiny, and he can do whatever he wants. Pointing at Tom, saying, "Well, look, this is what's going on."
I'm getting
okay. That makes sense.
Here,
yeah. Like, I could see that, So, but I also thought it was interesting that the deeper relationships in the novel are homosexual. Daisy and Jordan, and Nick and Gatsby. And then we have Tom and Daisy, who are just married for the social aspect of it. It's like a Facebook wedding. If we had Facebook back then, you get the idea.
I don't did Tom, I feel like Tom still cared about Daisy, but I don't know if it was just the way things were at the time. I don't know. Dudes gonna be dudes.
She was a trophy.
Yeah, but when you don't marry for love, that's what happens. I don't know what to say. Now, granted, yes, in this book at least, from the way it sounds like in The Great Gatsby, at least, Tom has one affair, and that's with that Mrs. Wilson. Mm-hmm. But here, it sounds like he has a girl in every port. So he just doesn't care, about the social backlash of, the Daisy saying, "Oh, look, your husband's sleeping," So.
How did you feel about Gatsby being a vampire?
Was he a vampire?
I thought they said that. Did they not?
I
know there
were
like,
hints. I don't know if it was actually like laid out or not, but it seemed like there was a lot of hints towards it.
It seemed to me he got power from his deal with the devil. That
Yeah,
doesn't
but
necessarily make him a vampire, though.
no, but they were making references to bite marks.
Biting, yeah.
Yeah, bite marks on
Oh.
Nick and on somebody else, I think that Gatsby was seen. Jordan saw Gatsby with.
Yeah, but in the context of the more liberal sexuality, there those sometimes bites are just bites too. I don't know.
Agreed, but I'm almost positive the word vampire.
Okay, yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that thought did not occur to me.
Don't discount.
Yeah.
Because I was like, really, we're gonna make Gatsby a vampire, and he made a deal with the devil. Like, is that why he's a vampire? I don't know. Okay, but then he died.
I mean, bullets still kill things.
Mhm.
I mean, it depends on whose world you're talking about here. Cause,
not in the Vampire Diaries.
Yeah, it's not the Vampire Diaries.
I also liked how she made essentially New York hell. And they're all stuck together in this one city, being awful to each other. Yeah, this is exactly what hell is. Yeah, well done, Satan, But, and then when Nick dies, when Gatsby dies, all of a sudden heat waves gone. Oh, we're not in hell anymore. Hooray,
Huh. He was the devil.
Well, he's the devil's agent, at least. He made a deal that says, hey, look, I'll open a gateway to hell if you give me this money and power. Okay, yeah, we're good with that.
Hell on earth.
So
you give me power. Social status.
I feel like I'm probably gonna have to reread this too.
I'm gonna.
It's not that long.
Nah. We got to read the next book.
Oh boy. I'm trying to think of what else. Let me see.
Apparently, the New York Times liked this book because I happened to see like a little blurb on it, and they were like, "What did they say? That magic was gilding the lily." Which, okay, I can kind of see that but then again, there are some people who.
What does that mean? That description?
Well, I have what I think it is, but I'll look it up just to be sure.
Wow! Listen to this. The prose is like a bite of caramel that rips out your teeth.
There you go.
Seething,
Rip out your teeth.
It has a bloody taste.
Yeah. Adding unnecessary ornamentation to something beautiful in its own right.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, that's gilding the lily. So.
Okay. All right.
And now, granted, there are people who think that A Song of Ice and Fire should have no magic in it either. It's just like no dragons, no anything else, just that. So it's I can kind of see too, but I don't know. In this case, I think she could have made a novel without it, but it's done well. So
let me see. I found the reading guide for this book.
Oh yeah, I found if you're looking for it, thank you, Kindle. The place where Jordan replaces Nick's heart is on page 255, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
So
I feel like we even did because I was like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah,
because I was like,
book, she's like, wait a minute.
It didn't immediately like click that he was a paper right. thing, and I was like, she just cut him from where to where, and she did what with his heart?
Yeah, because she found out, I guess, after she kissed him, and he's like, "Oh, he tastes like paper," and then sure enough.
Well, speaking of Nick, it says at the end of Jordan's romance with Nick, she realizes a surprising truth about who he is. Does this alter how you viewed Nick's actions during the novel? I mean, I was definitely taken aback because I didn't really question Nick's actions.
But I mean, if you have to go back and remember what he did and beforehand to find out if there was any alternative intentions.
What was the assumption though, right? Like somebody made him. So was the assumption that Gatsby had someone make him?
I think I think it was that he was killed in the war, and then somehow his family recreated him.
Mm.
That's the impression I got. I don't know if Gatsby did.
Interesting. The depth of, geez, what's going on here?
Yeah, but I just like I feel like it was supposed to kind of explain some of his obsession with Gatsby and his inability to like.
Well, maybe there were hints at the beginning of the book that we just aren't looking at.
Well, but then again, whoever did it wrote Gatsby's name on his heart in big letters. So, and as again,
Somebody had
going
to put that there.
to that page, it says, she specifically says, that's not Jay, Gatsby. So,
Huh. He's obsessed with the family and not just him.
my thought was that it was like he employed someone ostensibly from like Jordan's ethnic heritage to create this for him, because
Right.
you know.
What the heck?
So
The next question says, well, Daisy Buchanan's marriage is obviously abusive, and the abuse is passed off as a normalized thing, hardly worthy of comment. How does Tom Buchanan's abuse of his wife impact your reading of Daisy's affair with Gatsby, and then her choice to stay with Tom? And does Jordan's lack of engagement with said abuse affect how you see her character?
Okay, so that's what I'm missing. What is the abuse? What abuse is he putting? Is he beating, or is it verbal?
He's cheating on her.
Just that.
I mean, just that? That's
Well, I mean, like,
I feel
abuse-
like that's enough.
I guess
well,
I guess abuse takes a lot of forms.
Yes.
But, okay.
And he also like he comes off as a very hot-headed character.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
So that's
just
what I was
very
like,
like
is he beating her?
testosterone
Yeah.
filled, like probably yells at her and gets angry, and but I mean I feel like the cheating is enough in itself. You know, I'm not the type of person that feels like tit for tat is a cool thing. Like whether you got cheated on or not, I don't think that gives you permission to then cheat on that person. You know, like I feel like it's bad regardless of who's doing it or why it's happening. So I don't excuse Daisy sleeping with Gatsby. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily see it exactly as Serby, but I don't excuse it. Like in my mind, it would have made more sense for her, you know, but obviously the Times is not going to allow for that, but it would have made more sense for her to be like, you know what, I'm done with you cheating on me all the time. I have somebody who loves me. I'm leaving you. And then, which is what Gatsby wanted.
But that time and that frame,
Yeah.
in those times, she would be more worried about her getting her ass whooped by Tom just for saying that than actually doing the thing. Is my thought on it. It was more of the fear of leaving him versus actually doing the thing that she's fantasizing about.
I don't know. I feel like at this point in my life, I feel like, you know, people are only going to change if they want to change. And if they show themselves to you multiple times and they don't change, like, I don't know. I wouldn't want to deal with cheating. So I didn't really like Daisy's character at all anyway, but the fact that she stayed with Tom, I mean, I think she felt like crushed and destroyed and hopeless and weak by the end of the book. So like in that respect, I understand how that makes it hard to pick up and leave or whatever. But she would be leaving everything. She would be like a disgraced woman. She would be so those are hard decisions, but I don't know. I mean, I guess it is what it is.
One thing we haven't touched on yet is the Manchester Act. You know, how it was good, how they're, okay, now we want to throw out all the immigrants in the dam. So Gatsby is going to have to go. And I know Jordan's on it saying, oh, no, you'll be safe. And it's like, yeah, really? Will you? I don't think so. Yes, the money will protect her for a point, but as we learned in World War II with the internment camps, like that's sometimes not, unfortunately, not good enough.
I mean, look at us now, so many years later, and still we're having like. It's incredibly
100 years later.
disappointing. Incredibly, I have to I've been trying to reduce my Twitter time because it's just every time I go on there now, I'm like,
Not to derail the conversation from the book, but
yeah.
But to the point about Jordan, she is a loyal friend to Daisy, even though Daisy doesn't really return it. But,
yeah, Daisy just seems very self-involved and self-centered.
Mm-hmm.
And even though she has like her own things going on, I keep hearing her voice and I want to scream. I'm like, Jordan.
Now, in her defense, though, she hasn't been really given any opportunity to. But
it means the narrator did a good job.
Yeah,
I guess
so. But she's just used to operating in that way in the world, and nobody's ever told her different. So.
I do feel like because you get a sense of Jordan kind of being in love with Daisy, but I think I felt like I was questioning it the whole time. Like, okay, but why? Like, why? Other than she was always like Jordan was kind of always there to pick up the pieces of Daisy, but outside of that, that's like something she's giving. That's not something she's getting. So I didn't understand what the hell Daisy was doing for her to be so in love with her or so fascinated by her. I mean, I'm glad that by the end of the book,
sometimes you don't have to do anything. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
But there has to be some kind of like projection happening there, because like whether it's actually doing anything for her, she must be perceiving it as doing something for her.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, considering how self-aware both like at least socially self-aware both of them are, and they realize what social capital is going into these things, yeah, Jordan took an awful risk, helping Daisy with her, with her troubles, shall we say?
Oh, that's a thing that didn't happen in the original book.
Mm-hmm.
That was like totally new. I remember reading that. I was like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?
Well, it wasn't so much that. Like, to me, it was just like, oh, you're normally so self-centered. How is it that you're doing this for another person, sort of a thing? And not that I ever had a are they or aren't they sort of a vibe to it, but it kind of placed the idea that, well, I could see it if it did happen. Yeah, I could totally see it happening. So.
But I like that at the end Jordan decides like I don't want this. I don't want any part of this. I don't I'm pretty sure she confronted Daisy and she was kind of like, I don't remember what words she used, but I think it had a theme of like, you're not a great person. Like, why are you like this?
Right.
Well, I think she realizes, well, after helping her with her wedding, was at the wedding dinner, creating that paper replica of her, then cut to the end where she finally realized that, holy shit, you just killed the person. You have no bounds or any remorse for anything.
Not any. Like, she's just like, well, what was I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like that's just, I don't know. To me, that's so selfish and morally bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, Daisy was that the entire time, and maybe Jordan should have seen it a little bit sooner.
Maybe she did, just didn't.
Yeah.
You can always explain away people's behaviors. Oh, it's this or it's that. Just like with Tom. Oh, it's this or it's that, but it's probably not. It's exactly what you think it is, but you don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
So.
Do we want to do final thoughts?
Sure.
You want to go first?
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts, John?
I'm gonna reread it.
I'm gonna reread it.
I enjoyed at least what I did consume of it. It's just it was hard. So at this point, it's set steady at a 3 stars for me. I'm just gonna leave it there until I can.
It's just a placeholder.
Yeah, I can shift it where it needs to go.
And you feel that it's just the writing that was.
It was probably hard for me to take in audibly. I might actually try to read a little bit since you have this, and it is kind of short. We'll see how far that goes. But
No promises.
I think I'm going to try after I read this. I'm going to take a step back for this one. So, but yeah, I want to actually put it like directly into my brain and not have anything to get in the way.
I really enjoyed it. I do think I want to reread it because, like, I feel like I picked up most of it, and having read The Great Gatsby not that long ago, like in January or February, that was like relatively fresh too. And I also watched the movie not that long ago. So I would like to go through this one more time, see if maybe there's like additional references of magic that I didn't immediately picked up on. I think like some of the things that I was struggling with is sometimes I couldn't tell if it was like an exaggerated or beautiful description that was being crafted versus a literal description of the magic. And so that's kind of where I was a little bit confused. Like maybe even with Gatsby being a vampire, like maybe she was just describing him in a certain way and not necessarily saying that he was exactly that. But those are the things that like I kind of had some confusion with. But for at this point, I give it 4 stars. And I did really enjoy it.
One other thing, well, for me, I think I would have preferred to have read The Great Gatsby just before this. So I think I would have gotten more out of it. But as it is, it's a very well-written book. And, I vaguely remember some of the stuff from Gatsby. But one of the scenes I did like was when Jordan worked her magic on the TJ Eckleburst sign. It gave him a mouth, and that's how she finds out what happened on the highway. So, but yeah, I thought it was really well done. I would read more of her books, preferably original ones, to see what she has in there. But yeah, I gave it 4 stars.
That was actually a common sentiment on some of the people who commented on Goodreads, is that they wanted to actually read some of her original stuff because of how well this was done.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's like, I don't know if they're novellas. I don't think they're super long because I feel like the audiobooks are just like 2.5 hours, something like that. Or maybe like 4 hours around that. But I have a couple of them on Kindle that I wanted to check out, but I'm definitely going to have to do it when I'm not doing anything else because I want to be able to fully absorb them and pay full attention to them.
Yes.
So if you've stuck around this long or you've popped in at this point, what we're reading for
next month?
No, this month.
This month.
This month. Yes, for August.
Yes.
We are reading
Ooh, pretty.
She
Hamnet.
likes the pretty ones.
Hamnet by Maggie.
That's why she has you, right, John?
Here, look at the end papers. The end papers are really nice too.
Nice.
Yeah, some
Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell.
Yes, thank you. And it's, I guess, about Hamnet, Shakespeare's son, and then, how Hamlet comes to be, stuff like that. It says Book of the Year 2020.
It's also about how Shakespeare meets his wife and such as well. So I'm about a third of the way through it now.
Oh, okay, cool. I started reading it and it's in third person, so I always have trouble kind of adapting to third person after I've been reading first person for a while. But I didn't get too far, but it was interesting so far. So I think it'll be a really fun discussion, an interesting one. I can't not think about this book, and I keep thinking about, we did some little game where it was like a bunch of pictures and you had to guess the book titles.
Mhm.
And so there's literally a ham hanging in the store window in a net, and we were like, what is that? Because we kept saying Hamlet, Hamlet, and like it wasn't working. And then finally I think you were just like ham net, and I was like, what is that? But I always think about that. But
I remember that. What
those
was
were
that
fun.
for?
It was just,
They do it every year.
I think so, that they do little pictures and then you have to guess the book titles and
The
they
references,
do that was it was super fun. It was like consumed me for like 3 days because I tried to do a bunch of them.
Book thing.
Right.
No.
Who did that?
Mm-mm.
No, was it?
No, it was like, I don't know, it was some UK publisher or something like that.
Oh,
something.
I mean,
I'm not sure.
I guess the idea was it was another country.
So again, if you guys ever want to join us on the discussion on video, you can do that by becoming a Patreon on patreon.com/Libri Labra. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. So thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.